Hi Aquarius, welcome to your October Astro-Tarot scope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign, though if you're only going to watch one, I do advise that you make sure it is your ascendant sign because it's going to be the most accurate for you, because these are based on the astrology. I use whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that need to know. And also, if you would like to get your personal reading, you can do so on the link in the description box below. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's pop these to the side for now. So if you would like to get your personal reading, you can do so on the link in the description box below. I think I already said that. If you are a continued subby, make sure you hit the like and the share button. But if you are if you're a new subby to my channel, or if you're, should I say, just stopping by, hit the subscribe button if it resonates. So the first transit we're going to look at, Mars is coming into a conjunction with the South Node. The way that I saw this when I was looking at it on the chart and I was kind of figuring out the, the energies of it, it's like this. Right, Mars is a severing energy. It's the knife, it's the scalpel, it's the scissors, and that's how I see this transit. It's like the scissors, something. And what happens with scissors? You cut and you remove something, you get rid of the superfluous. The South Node is an energy of release, elimination, excretion. It's what we're moving away from or releasing in some regard. Now this for you is happening in the 9th house, which is the space in your chart that Libra occupies. Libra is about relationships, partnerships, collaboration, contractual agreements of one-on-one nature. The 9th house is foreign travel, higher education, it's philosophies, it's your belief structure, and it's also, in ancient astrology, the 9th house was the house of God. And I don't see it necessarily as that. I see this more of how you communicate with the cosmos through your belief system, through your rituals, through your religious and spiritual observances. Do you meditate? Do you chant? Do you pray? Do you do spell work? Do you do manifesting? All of those things are, in essence, a connection to or a conversation with the divine. That's the 9th house, and the 9th house is a very lucky space. So this could be the removal or the release or the let go of some big part, maybe for some of you, this is the letting go of an old belief system. And in that release, you're going to find an inner freedom that maybe you haven't felt for a very long time. Aquarius is the sign of freedom, trust, the future. The 9th house is a very future orientated space in the chart. And for something that Aquarian people need, freedom in order to operate at their best. They need to be able to feel free and autonomous to do what they want to do. And if you haven't been feeling that for a long time, as I know many Aquarians haven't, this is the time where you're getting it back, right? So this is the start of you like literally coming back to yourself. It's been a process from December of last year up until now. You've been getting much stronger and much more sort of like really starting to understand yourself more than ever. Now this could be as well, because it is the 9th house, that you might lose a teacher or a mentor or guru or someone that you look up to, a touchwood, might pass away. I really hope that's not the case. That's like a very extreme example of the possibility here. The 9th house is also grandparents as well. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, it's also possible that a legal matter could find resolution now, and it might be that there's a hard pass or a hard no to something. And if that is the case, ask yourself why you have been declined or turned away, or why something is not working out in what you perceive to be your favor because it's what you want. There is a reason that the saying goes, rejection is God's protection. And this very much feels like that. All right. For this, you have the 2 of Pentacles with the 10 of Swords. So that's a break in a connection with another person, and the Knight of Swords. But don't do this out of haste. Whatever comes to its natural conclusion and end now, let it end. Don't pursue to keep something or someone in your world that doesn't want to be there. And the other thing as well, the Two of Pentacles with the Ten of Swords, this could be a break in financial connections with somebody. I actually think this will be very beneficial, but that Ten of Swords at the heart of this mini spread basically says that whatever comes to an end now, and you know, anytime that the nodes are involved in something, it's an ending for life, it's an ending for good. There's no going back to it, and that Ten of Swords always has a very final energy to it. There is a possibility here as well that there could be some kind of argument or bust up that really just creates a separation. That's an extreme case. On the 9th of October, Venus, the lady of pleasure, romance, finances, abundance. Venus is the lady of pleasure, leisure. You know, she is vibrancy. And wherever Venus goes, she sweetens that area of our lives, which is why when Venus moves into, I found personally, the 2nd, the 4th, the 6th, and the 12th, oh my gosh, that sugar binge be real. Like I've got a bad sweet tooth anyway. But boy, when she moves through those houses for me, I notice that sugar intake gets serious. So just something to be mindful of. Now, she also represents our talents, and because Venus is an energy of fresh air, she forces us to clean up the space that she moves in, and this is the 8th house for you, which is where you have Virgo, so you can be very meticulous about your conflicts. You can be really meticulous about taxes, death, inheritance, all of that kind of stuff. You can be very precise right now. Over the next 4 weeks, you might really start to delve into your joint finances, where you are tied to another person throughout finances and resources. Now, although Venus is in her detriment in the sign of Virgo, I feel that Venus does do good work here, but it's a Venus that requires work, right? She can't just sit back and do the luxury thing like she usually likes to do. Venus is very sensual, whereas Virgo is very practical. There's a proactiveness in this Venus. She's blessings and talent and pleasures. And in the 8th house of other people's money, this could be a really nice cash boost that comes from or through a woman in your life in some way. You will potentially need to work a little bit harder for it because Virgo is about service. There also seems to be a ramp up or a ramp up of production of money or money-making enterprises that you have, whether this is products that you sell, etc., or passive income streams that you have start to really grow in some way. The 8th house also being taxes, inheritance, death, as I said, could also be a sweet release of some sort. When is a death a blessing? When somebody's old, tired, and is in a lot of pain. When is, the 8th house is also sex, the taboo, like your sexual and sensual desires, the primal that you've got. Like Venus moving through this house might make you want that sexy time that much more. And hey, listen, I would not complain. For this, you've got the Lovers card. So it looks like there's potentially someone around that's going to scratch the itch for you, because you've got the Knight of Wands here as well. The Knight of Wands with the Lovers card, that is a lot of sexual energy, right? So whether it's just an FWB, if you know, you know. Then we've got the Knight. Damn! Okay, so if you know, then you know, right? 2 Knights represents intimacy. With the Lovers card, with Venus moving through the 8th. This is going to be an acceleration of your sex life. There is going to be a lot of fun to be had over the next 4 weeks at least, because Venus moving through a sign is about 4 weeks, unless she does her retrograde dance, and obviously that retrograde in Leo is over. So there's definitely going to be a lot more sexy time. What do we see? We've also got another Knight here. So 3 Knights represents a lively debate, which means that throughout this Venus transit, there's going to be a lot happening around money, finances, paperwork, inheritance, joint finances. Excuse me, there's a lot happening there. On the 12th of October, Mars is moving into the sign of Scorpio. This is coming into your 10th house, your public status, your social status, how people see you. Like, this is whether you're partnered or married is a social status. Whether you own a home or you rent is a social status. If you don't have parents, your social status is orphan, right? Do you see what I mean? Like, it's your status in the world, but it's also your career. It's like the most public facing version of you. Mars coming into the sign of Scorpio is a strong Mars, because Mars is coming into a sign that it actually rules, certainly in terms of ancient astrology, Pluto in the modern. This could see you making some very Mars's energy, passion, excitation, forcefulness, willpower, drive, sexuality even as well. Mars is going to have you making some very executive and assertive decisions over the next 5 to 6 weeks. That's how long it will be in this sign. It's also possible to overdo it with Mars, especially if we have like a target in mind. Don't overdo it. And the way that you do this is because it's like by taking time, being honest about your desires. Mars rules your 10th house and your 3rd house of communications as well. So, excuse me, I am expecting the next 5 to 6 weeks to be really very busy for you, but also a lot of progress to finally be made. So where you've been lagging with something, or something's really been lagging behind in the work or the career, and you've had moments where it's like, oh, come on, like it just nothing seems to be moving. This is where you will see it start to move, all right? But it's going to get fast, y'all. For this, you got that 8 of Wands. Communication at a distance, fast communication, emails, text messages, phone calls. It is going to get busy, right? Then you've got the 4 of Swords, which does suggest sifting through the information that you get. Don't just, this kind of reminds me actually, the 8 of Wands with the 4 of Swords. If you've ever seen Bruce Almighty, you'll know exactly what I'm about to talk about. There's a bit where he's like, oh my gosh, God gets all these, he's like, I'm getting all these messages and these requests for help. So what he does, he turns everybody's request into an email, and he just goes through and replies yes to everybody. Yes, everyone can have what they want, right? Bruce, he basically says to God, like, I could do your job. God makes him, God, and it's just God of like one portion of like the town that he lives in, well, the state that he lives in, for like a short period of time. And it's really, really funny. But this reminds me of that. And this is, and through doing that, replying yes to every single request that each human in that place that he governs for, something ridiculous like 400 people win the lottery. Like it's chaos basically. And this is why I say to you, there's going to be a lot of information flowing backwards and forwards for the next 5 weeks, starting from October 12th. And for that reason, you want to make sure that you're sifting through the information that's coming to you. You're not just blanket statements to everything. Yes, I'm going to do that. Yes, do it, action. Yes, set that into motion. Bam, 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 bam. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, why is all of this going wrong? It's going wrong because you haven't looked at anything. You've just said yes or marched ahead with it. There's been no plan or no strategy. All right. Then you've got the King of Cups. You have to school your emotions, all right? Like this Mars transit, you're going to have to really keep a hold of yourself, because like I said, your desires may get the better of you, and then you start making sort of rash decisions. You want to be assertive, you want to be decisive, you want to be executive, absolutely. You want to be all of those things, but you do not want to be rash or reckless. And with the King of Cups is usually a water sign, male, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. This could be somebody who actually ends up being a very good help or support to you, but is also running behind on their own stuff. Finally, on the 24th of October, the moon is going to conjunct Saturn, your ruling planet, or your ancient ruling planet. Uranus is the modern, and those planets in the sign of Pisces are in your 2nd house of money, finances and resources, are going to trine the Sun and Mercury in the sign of Scorpio, in your 10th house of career. The moon as your 6th house, the moon is your 6th house ruler, and Saturn your own ruling planet, coming together in your 2nd house of finances. There's a reality check here around money, But in a trine to the sun and Mercury in your career sector, it's like an energy that provides you with opportunity, but it happens in like a most inopportune moment. So it's like you have the chance to make more money, but it requires you to show up in a way or at a time when you're focused on something completely different. This is, you know, if anything, it might be that you're focused elsewhere and you're seeing the need to split your focus in some way. It is a trine, so it will come easier to you than expected, but you will still need to work for it. An authority figure in your life could hand you a blessing of some sort, maybe a financial one. Even if it's not that they're giving you money, they give you an opportunity to really find resources. Mercury rules your 5th house and your 8th house, which means that there could be a fun element to this, or maybe even just a stroke of luck. So for this, you've got the 7 of Pentacles. You are going to have to graft for it with the Ace of Pentacles, but the wealth is assured if you get to it. And the Page of Wands. Allow your creativity, and you know this sexual energy that shows up here in around like the, let's say the 9th of October. I'm going to present an idea to some of you that you'll probably be like, oh no, I don't know about that, Raf. And, you know, specifically to the men, I can't really speak on women because it's not an experience that I have had. But women can do this with their sexual energy as well, I'm fairly certain. But for the guys among you, you know, and if you're squeamish and you don't want to get into sort of certain talks or conversations, this is probably a moment to turn off. But for the guys among you that have, or people that have a lot of masculine energy, but specifically the guys among you, semen retention. If ever there were a time to utilize, like, and the way that you do this is like, a lot of people say like, oh, when you're doing that, that means you can't have sex. No, you can have sex, you just don't expel, you just don't release, right? If you can take that energy that, you know, that is showing up around that sort of 9th of October and is going to continue for the 4 weeks, and channel it into this energy that starts to show up around the 24th of October, you could do some, I mean, there's a potential here for you to manifest something at lightning speed. Whole sidebar tangent. If you can, you know, and to open it up for everybody, for those of you that aren't men, if you can channel all of your sort of primal sexual and prime creative energy, put it that way, into these things to do with your career and your finances, you could bend, you know, time and space, you know, and God, there's so much I want to say on this right now, but it would end up being a very long video. And maybe I will make a video about this separately, but it's just to say, like, yeah, it could be pretty powerful. All right, so for your lunations, on the 14th of October, we have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Libra, which for you represents your 9th house, the house of God, right? This is a fresh start in your personal ideologies, belief systems, and philosophies. This is a fresh start in your philosophical outlooks and beliefs. It's also a fresh start and a grand beginning in terms of higher education. Some of you might be deciding from here on in that you're going back to university, or you're going to study something at a much deeper or higher level. For some of you, that could literally be astrology, maybe tarot, maybe numerology, etc. More likely astrology with the 9th house, but it can absolutely be any of the divinatory arts. It could also be that you are, because it's a 9th house eclipse, it could be that you're changing location. For some of you, this could start the process of you living abroad. You've got the Gate 22 and Grace. This is a soulmate card. This is the card, because you know swans mate for life, right? And this is a card of twofold. One, it talks about soulmates. You've got the 2-2, right? So sort of master number vibrational energy. And it suggests that this 9th house eclipse for you takes on a very spiritual element and potentially brings you a partner who could be a soulmate. If you're already married, partnered, or in a long-term commitment, this will be a deepening of that bond. For those of you, and then for all of you in some way, shape or form, this is, for everyone, this is a card of creativity. And it basically says, just create. Fuck anybody watching it. Don't worry about whether people are going to see it, what your view count is, or any of that stuff. Create because you love to create and just get your stuff out there. Everything else will follow. That was my kind of thought process actually all them years ago when I started Reydiant Reality. I remember hitting 30 subscribers. I've still got the Facebook post. It pops up every year, and every year I'm just so like, oh, amazed by it, because it's like, I remember that day I was like, 30 subscribers. I was so excited. I was just like, what? 30 people want to listen to me. I couldn't believe it. I was, you know, over the moon. I'm still over the moon about it now. Like, and you know, when I see 92,500, it's just, I really sometimes can't wrap my mind around it. Sometimes I get really weirded out about it because I'm like, oh, okay, that's a bit much. I love it. Keep them coming. The full moon lunar eclipse is happening in the sign of Taurus, which for you is in your 4th house of home, property, family, and real estate. The gate 23 and assimilate is basically watching or doing whatever you need to do to make a dream become a reality. Taurus is a tangible sign. This is the last one in this sign of your 4th house, right? So around home, family, property, real estate, some story that began for you at the end of 2021 is about to finally start to come to a close or a satisfactory completion in some way, shape, or form. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. If you want to get your personal Astro-Tarot scope, where we look at your transits, we're going to look at your chart, we're going to pull cards and see what goes on. If you love these Astro-Tarot scopes, you can get a Zoom session like this with me, yours truly, and we will go through all of the good stuff that you've got coming up. All right, with that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.